All right, day 49. Is more mobs? Maybe? Maybe. Anyways, today we're just going to fix up a few of the things that were left over for UI stuff related to the skills that we added yesterday. Basically, they're not showing in the UI, but they do exist. So we gotta make those showing. We gotta make sure that they're saved in the save files. And then we're going to start looking at the mob reworks. We might add a couple of additional mobs here, but ideally we have to rework basically the HP. We have to rework the damage. We have to rework the abilities that they've got. Essentially, we're going to be creating all new mobs for the mobs that currently exist. So we're probably going to get started on that momentarily. I just got to make sure I have all of my chats up. So I do have one other surprise as well. In addition to having added all of those new skills, new nodes, new items yesterday, I spent a bit of time making some stuff last night, cleaning some stuff up, checking how much we actually have right now. And so I'm going to pop this on the screen and we can see the results of what I was up to yesterday. Go run // Let's get our server going. Very important. Go run / command client. So once this is picked up on the... Actually, first things first that I'm going to do, I'm going to actually send Claude off on this little side quest first of all. I see a gold coin on my mouse, and it moves the coins from my bank to my inventory. Verify that the same items, especially gold / the first item in bank / inventory, are able to be stored and stay stored separately. Also, I can't see the 4 new skills in my skills tab. Make it so that when swapping to the skills tab, there's a scroll bar for all skills are shown. In addition, make sure when saving that the new skills will be added and that we're still backwards compatible, i.e. adding new skills doesn't break any of the saves. So we're going to send Claude off to do this while I show you guys what we've got here. So, oh right, I got to fix the UI stuff, but I don't know if we're going to do that today. On go. 3, 2, 1, go! Hey look, we've got new icons for like everything. I kind of miss my cactus, but I wasn't going to use cactus for Buttercup. I also kind of just made everything look the same. So we've got like basically all the different logs and stuff. Really simple icons. The fire kind of looks like a traffic cone, which is annoying, but it was the best I could do at the time. Didn't really spend much time on it. I don't like the iron pickaxe. I'm gonna fix that real quick. Also, so, assets. I'm gonna just reveal this real quick. Sprites, items. This actually needs to be opened in Paint. do. Not actually black, it is slightly off. Two, three. Do. There we go. Now we'll grab the eraser, which I actually found last night where the actual... Oh, shoot. Do. Why is this looking strange? Anyways, copy, paste it, flip, horizontal. There we go. I'm also gonna raise this a bit more. Whoops. Z, not X. Z, not X. There we go for that. So we're gonna do this, and then we're actually going to there we go. There we go. Iron pickaxe and iron hatchet have been fixed now. They look much better. Or iron axe. So yeah, these are basically what the items look like right now. Again, they're very simple shapes, very simple repeating patterns. Not important. So I did make it so that I don't have very exciting rocks anymore. I do still need to make it so that things are able to be clicked on when it is more vertical. Or more vertical? Yeah, when things are stretched, or when things are taller than just one square, I need to be able to click on the top parts of it. Anyways, I'm just going to try to find a rock right now. Hey, look, some gold. I got a wolf bang. Should be a rock right over here. There we go, there's the rock.
Walk
kind of fills the inventory at the moment. It won't let me pick up the gold when my inventory is full. That's new. So, I'm just gonna go rest over by a tree. Actually, I have one more tree to show as well. Old coin drag bug, drag slot in both inventory panel and bank initializes to 0, which passes the greater than 0 check in is dragging on the first mouse release in game. Bank panel and drag fires first, returns slot 0, bank isn't visible, so slot at returns -1 and falls into send bank withdraw, withdrawing from the server's bank slot 0 gold coins. The inventory ghost meanwhile renders inventory on the cursor, and look at that, we've got a new looking tree on the cursor fixed in new city by explicitly setting both fields to -1. Skills tab, fishing and cooking were in known skills. Server sends them in XP, but simply missing from the rendered list. Added both an expanded panel H save compatibility. Piety and bravery were also supposed to be added. Oh, right. Also, there's no point in me doing this. Whoops. Gonna just drop everything in the bank right now. Fresh or chunk. We still got our fallbacks at least. Raw herb, buttercap, ground herb. Can we pick up the logs? I don't think we can. Yeah. Oh, anyways, I just want to make sure that the tree gets cut down so you can see what that looks like as well. Piety exists, but only as a concept. It distributes as class XP via apply class XP, not a standalone skill. There is no piety or bravery entry in known skills. No gather and level track. Whether they should be added depends on the design docs you opened mob rework earlier. Piety and bravery need to be added as skills. Was piety not part of? Q2 was supposed to enable the leveling piety as well. Q3 to enable bravery. Leveling bravery. Ugh. This is... Also, why am I not... There we go. I don't know why it wasn't actually cutting the tree, but... Oh, there we go. The, cut the tree down. It might need to be wider. Really, right now, there's a bit of just stuff along the ground that goes full width. Because it still keeps you the full... Oh, that was weird. So, I know I said we were going to be getting to mobs, but it looks like there were a couple of other things that I didn't actually fully realize weren't added. My bad. Anyways, we are at a good point. Well, we can't really use the other stuff as well. Ooh, I'm not sure if we should address that first. Anyways, let's take a moment and let's actually take a look through the Q3 mob reworks. I don't know why these are Qs, but doesn't matter. So, mob reworks, not started, depends on T6 XP system, base XP wired, T4 mob drop tables done. Can run parallel with Q2 and Q4. So the goal, rebalance all active mobs to match intended difficulty, more HP, higher ability density with faster cooldowns, ability config based auto attacks, and XP values that produce a sensible leveling rate through playtesting. Decisions, XP formula flat mob type, flat per mob type, base XP in mob config, no scaling with player level, max abilities per non-boss mob, 3 in this phase, future ceiling may reach 6, and we might have to extend that again going forward. It really depends how things go, obviously. The ability cast rate should be like 1 cast per second for the mid to high level mobs. Goblins are probably going to stay. Goblins and wolves are probably going to stay slightly. Maybe not even wolves. Wolves might just have low damage, high cast rate abilities. Correct XP reference, no reference table. Correct XP values found through playtesting and incremental config changes. Auto attacks use the same ability config system as the player auto attack. Each mob defines an auto attack entry in its config files with no separate code path needed. And bravery XP not a mob concern. Bravery XP is awarded only from hard mode boss defeats. It has no field on the mob configs. We really should add something for reworking the boss, like the boss skills a bit here, in terms of increasing the cast rate, increasing the boss's mana, HP, damages, just to make it feel more bossly. Auto attacks are implemented as a mob ability using the same config as player attacks. Each mob gains config gains an auto attack. So in here, I know we're going to already add notes. Add auto attack to boss as well. Ensure boss can support. Ensure multiple different types of auto attacks are supported for both mobs and boss. I.e. a goblin, i.e. orc has melee and range projectile auto attacks, which it will randomly choose one of if it is in range to use. Otherwise, the boss will try to walk the range if it doesn't have an ability to use. The mob will try to walk the range if it doesn't have an ability to use. So we're going to have auto attacks are implemented as a mob ability using the same config schema as the player auto attack. Each mob config gains the auto attack section along with abilities. The server resolves them the same way, no new code path. Rough auto attack targets by tier. Starting values tunable via play testing. Tier cooldown range damage, beginner to melee low, why is it in percentage? Intermediate, melee or short, moderate 5 to 8, expert 1, melee high, elite 0.7 varies high. So set initial values conservatively and tune upward. The auto attacks config must be defined for every mob with mobs with no meaningful auto attack use a long cooldown and minimal damage rather than being omitted. Ensure damage is actually a force number, not a percentage. So, scope per mob changes: base XP, max HP, auto attack, ability count, projectile count per ability, ability cooldowns, set via playtesting, start conservatively, tune iteratively, raise to match, auto attack config section per mob ability using player auto attack schema. Ability count increase 2 to 3. Mob tier targets: beginner, wolf, crab, slime. Hey, look, we're gonna add crab and slime finally. Intermediate, corrupted wildlife, rock elemental, expert, mountain giant, cave, cavern predator, elite, siren, overflow variants. I don't know if we're going to be adding these right now. a lot of these were also not really intended. All HP and XP values are playtesting targets. Notes to add. We're going to need to reassess a little bit of stuff here. We're going to need to reassess what mobs are defined, specifically looking at which ones we currently have. Corrupted wildlife is too broad. This needs to be shades slash what are they called? What are they called? What did I call them? NPCs, mobs, shades slash lurkers. Goblin should be in beginner. Slime will actually be intermediate. Don't know if I was planning on doing. Where are my design documents? Why did I put corrupted wild? Anyways. And what is defined in the world design document. Chupacabra should also be hurt. Keep the corrupted wildlife in the documents though. At least one mob needs to have the boss, or needs to have an ability added to it where it does a shot of short range, 2 to 3 tiles of a ring of 15 shots, which expand outward from the boss. So that's going to be a thing that we need to worry about. New abilities. Okay, here's what changed. Known skills, Piety and Bravery added. The server now sends their XP values to the client on login. Events, zone quota reset now applies. Apply gather XP instead of apply class XP, so contributions to zone upkeep actually level the Piety skill rather than combat. Skill tab, Piety and Bravery rows added, expanded to fit all. Piety unlocks and Bravery unlocks stub files. Okay, I'm going to restart these just because I want to check that the abilities are properly defined in the UI. I don't like that it just made this UI longer. Only change size when swapping. Oops. No, that might be a pain. Anyways, we're just gonna continue through. Oh, right, I didn't even show this. So you'll see the UI panel is kind of just long now. If I go into here and I select some stuff, I don't actually remember what I have the settings for here. Mobs killed. Okay, it looks like it's based on mobs killed. And that's a ban. There we go. So I'll just take a few mobs out so that I can double check that I actually gain piety XP. Just gonna keep running through. We've got a couple more mobs that we'll need to kill. Should give us enough to at least see the piety XP when it's updated. It really looks more like a chisel. Where are the mobs? Come on, where are you? I'm not gonna hurt you. I don't promise. We're gonna have to add a regular map at some point soon too. It is in the plan. I just don't know when we're gonna get to it. It's not necessarily in this current phase either. So, anyways, back to the document. The new abilities, mobs getting a second or third ability need new ability JSON files, rules using existing ability types, projectile AoE charge. No server behavior in this phase. Second ability should be meaningfully different from the first. If there's a ranged single target, second ability might be AoE or charge. Ability files follow the existing NPC ability config. Implementation order. Audit the data. Apply HP increases. Set initial base XP. Define auto attack. Tighten existing ability cooldowns. Write new ability JSON. Increase projectile count in ability configs, playtesting, loop kill mobs across all tiers, adjust XP and damage values until feel is correct. Files to create. We're going to have to create some abilities, modify the mobs, modify the abilities. No new server code is required if the auto attack config schema matches the existing player auto attack config or attack loading path. If a separate mob auto attack loading path is needed, it is added to the mob config loader. I have added notes to add in the Q3 mob rework document. Implement these across the document. So, since things are happening, that means we have a moment to actually look at the game. Did I gain any piety XP? No. Well, let's keep running around and killing some mobs because I'm pretty sure. Basically, we need to test to make sure the piety actually activates. Oh, wait, it looks like it's only tracking for... Wait, why is it only tracking for danger zone? That shouldn't be the case. It's funny, a tap of Chop does like 40 damage, but the full ability damage is 128. Just to show a bit of the scaling on the damage for it. Oh, they still drop raw herbs. That's funny. So raw herbs are still obtainable. I forgot about that. I wonder what the zones. The upkeep XPs are like 0.1, which is what they're supposed to be, but it doesn't really work very well for testing at the moment. So we're just gonna keep fighting the mobs. We're going to fight the mobs level. Hopefully we'll gain some piety XP, like 1 XP, because they're all set to like 0.1. We should get an answer pretty soon as well. Oh hey, it actually put pine woods in here. Still iron ores, but I was expecting all of them to be birch kind of across everything, so. Yeah, basically what I did for all the trees was I made one and then kind of just changed the color of it and changed the leaves. So that's why the pine tree kind of just looks strange at the moment. Have we gained a Piety XP yet? No, although I feel like we should have, so that might be something we need to look into. How's our defense? Our defense is so low. Oh, I got a little too close to the door. Okay. Well, that... Right, that was just the documentation. So, I'm gonna step out of here. Gonna kill one more Chupacabra, though. There we go. Maybe we'll kill another. Level 15. I don't think we've gotten our combat level this high yet. Hey, defense and special defense are not leveling at all. Just our other damages. How much do we auto attack for now? Definitely higher than a lot higher than what we were. Okay, that better be enough to get some Piety XP when it resets. Or whenever this next happens. So, I'm gonna go to a place I think is kind of safe. I'm just heading over to sort of like the... Oh, no, there are mobs around here. Where's the exit? There it is. I'm looking forward to fixing this as soon as we have the UI. So, I should be safe sort of up here. Now, I'm going to minimize the game, and we're going to quickly take a look at the document again. Auto attack uses the same ability config as the player auto attack. Each mob defines an auto attack or auto attacks array in the config file. No separate code path needed. Multiple auto attack types. A mob may define auto attacks as an array. The server picks one entry at random each time the cooldown fires from those whose range condition is currently met. If no entry is in range, no ability is available. The mob walks towards the target until the shortest range entry becomes usable. Auto attack damage force is a flat numeric value, never expressed as percentage of player HP. Set initial values conservatively and tune upwards through playtesting. Auto attacks are implemented here. Multi-auto attack type is outlined here. Mob roster. The following mobs are currently defined in mobs. All are in scope for this rework. Slime is planned for a later phase. Keep the tier assignment as a target when created. Well, then why are we bothering to mention it? I don't know what the point of that is. Wolf, goblin, forest wolf, forest goblin, forest... No. Basically, no. There will never be a goblin stronger than the wolves. Why? I don't understand where. Anyways, corrupted wildlife is the umbrella category for forced goblin. No. Stop making goblins better. Goblins are the worst mob in the game. Ever. In any game. I don't care. No respect for the goblins. Use this label in design discussions, but refer to specific mob rankings. Okay, anyways, I'm just going to quickly go over this again. Cobra expert is going to be expert for now. Shade expert for now. Lurker wolf are intermediate. Goblins are beginner. That's fine. That'll allow us to do testing. I have updated the mobs a bit. For all mobs that have no abilities, you need to create an ability. Wolves need to have melee abilities, lunge, sort of like roll but do damage, sort of like player roll but do damage, and allowing it to chase. Shades need to fire multiple projectiles. Their abilities. Chupacabra need to have multiple abilities. One low cooldown, long range, projectile, back, tongue spike, and a short range AoE blood siphon. As well as lurkers need to have melee abilities. Have a melee ability and a short range, high damage magic projectile. No, just range, free projectile range. Shades need to fire multiple magic projectiles for their abilities. Chupacabra have to have multiple abilities. One low cooldown long range projectile ability, tongue spike, and a short range AoE blood siphon, as well as an AoE flash. Be sure to include rework plan. All right, it's gonna go through and do a bit of that, but we're gonna keep Oh, wait, nope. We're not going to look at the game. We're going to keep going through here. So we've got new abilities for the orc as well. The orc ring shot. We're going to have to make sure that the cooldowns and stuff is lowered. Additional mob abilities. Mobs get second or third abilities. Use existing types. Second ability should be meaningfully different. Abilities follow the existing NPCs. Implementation order. Okay. Has anything happened yet? Have we gained any piety XP? We have. We gained 3 piety XP. You're just gonna have to trust me on that one. On 31. So yeah, if you gain less than 1 XP, I don't think it even gets counted. But on the bright side, we've gained XP for it. Yeah, so the piety and bravery skills are meant to be very slow to level. Some of the unlocks are actually going to be, like, some of the class unlocks are actually going to be tied to your piety or bravery XP later into the game as well. Specifically, like the third tier mobs, or basically the combo classes and the secondary unlock classes. So, and the intention is the higher level classes aren't necessarily going to be stronger. They just need to have higher unlock requirements for them because of progression reasons. And they're going to have more complex combat sort of styles to them, so like it should be a way to balance that out. Anyways, we do need to make a trip all the way back to the village. You can see our 3 piety XP. We're gonna need to redo this entire thing as well, this UI panel. I also want to make it so that we can actually full screen this, because right now I see the world at basically the same scale as what I've been showing on the screen, which is fine for development, but I also want to be able to just, you know, full screen. So also, we got a lot of gold from the chupacabras. I should probably get some ability icons next as well, and also make sure that we update add a section to plan for adding filler generated sprites for all the mobs and all the abilities. Yeah, we also want to make sure that we're actually planning for mobs and abilities, because right now everything is just a purple square for all the mobs. So what did we get here? Mob roster notes column updated to list exact ability IDs existing versus new for every mob. Tier targets table corrected to match the roster: Forest Wolf, Intermediate, Forest Goblin, Beginner. 10 new ability designs with each config, sketch, and design rationale. Wolf, Forest Wolf, Pounce, Melee, Dash that closes distance, pairs with existing slow. Wolf Lunge, Knockback. Forest Lurker, Lurker Claw, Melee Swipe, plus Lurker Barb Volley, spread projectile, high force, short range, punishes players who close in. Shade, Shade Soul Blast, 3 magic projectiles, medium range. Shade Void Burst, 5 projectiles, narrower spread, slower, harder to dodge up close. But I want these kind of abilities because I want the player to cast like projectiles through them, or reflect them like with a melee hit. Something. Basically, I want the pinball mechanics to come into effect with the mobs as well. Shade 5, we already went over that. Chupacabra, Tongue Spike, long range, fast, low cooldown. Blood Siphon, short range, AoE push. Claw Slash, fast melee AoE, fills the mid-range gap. Orc Ring Shot, existing design now properly placed alongside the others. Files to create and modify was updated. You know, let's keep the Chupacabra fangs, because I feel like those are going to be a lot more difficult to get after this. Not like I can't just give myself more if I really wanted to, you know? Do. Wait, why would I? Oh, right, because I can't do anything with them yet. Do. Done the placeholder sprite section. All right, let's take a look at it again. Character Atlas, Effect Atlas, Generation Step. So we have Auto Attacks part, Tiers, Expert to Elite, Scope, Mob Roster per mob abilities, new abilities, Pounce, Forest Wolf Pounce, Cast Time Cooldown, Forest Lurker, Barb Volley, Soul Bolt, Void Burst, Tongue Spike, Blood Siphon, Cast Time Cooldown, Chupacabra Claw Slash. These cooldowns are still way higher than I expect them to be. Then we've got the Character Atlas that we're going to be adding as well. We don't even have the deer anywhere, really. Mob type color. Should these all be in one character atlas, or should this be separated into NPCs, environment, or into NPCs and mob? And it's separate one for. So this is we're kind of just trying to gather our information, because right now I would think that I would want an NPCs one, even like an NPCs per zone one. We might adapt it to in the future, an NPCs, a mobs, and then a separate boss one for each, because that should help with the optimization for splitting that, or for reading them in and animations and whatnot. Already mixes two very different things: mobs that die respawn and scale in numbers, and NPCs that are static fixtures. They have different update frequencies for artists, different fallback needs, and the single sheet will keep growing unboundedly. Mobs, all combat mobs, NPCs, all non-combat NPCs, shopkeeper, banker, bulletin board, and boss, all bosses, or one file per boss. There we go. That's what I wanted. Bosses per file versus boss depends on whether bosses ever need different frame sizes. Bosses will definitely need different frame sizes. Add these sprite sheet splits into the plan for Q3. Depends on whether the bosses ever need different frame sizes, because Orc is 64 by 64 and a feature boss is 128 by 128. Per file is cleaner. Each file is a self-contained, and load atlas is called with the right dimensions per entity. If all bosses will always be 64 by 64, which they definitely will not be. One shared boss PNG with one row per boss is fine. The main cost is the renderer side. Mob type row becomes mob atlas plus mob row, so the client needs to look up which atlas to use before looking up the new row. That's a small but real code change. 2 atlas handles instead of 1, and a function like mob atlas for type atlas alongside mob type row. Recommendation split into mobs plus NPCs now. Keep boss as 1 atlas per boss file, only if frame sizes diverge. Okay. Anyways, we're going to make those changes. Code changes required here. Affect Atlas. The Atlas is a uniform 32 by 32 grid with 1 row sprite fame. Sprite fame? Yeah, sprite fame! Sprite fame! Let's go! Anyways, sprite frame. In an ability config, selects the column. Frame current use. Hey, Oceanese fan. How are you doing today? I'm hoping to actually get some changes made on the mobs here instead of just planning, but I keep having to go through this a fair bit. The new ability, which honestly is probably good to have everything lined out first. Frame use color hint. New abilities introduce projectile types that need distinct values. Shade abilities reuse frame 3, Wolf and Chupacabra, melee positioning abilities. Produce no projectiles, no sprite frame needed. Update the sprite frame. So just because they don't use projectiles doesn't mean they're not going to need sprite frames. Update the sprite frame field in Chupacabra Tongue, Spike, Lurker, Barb Volley. Notes to add. Just because there's no projectile doesn't mean there isn't need for sprite frames. Blood Siphon is an AoE magic ability. It still needs to have an animation for it to show on screen. For current placeholder, that will be 1 square where it casts, then that changing color. Over the next series frames. Okay, so we'll make sure that those are in there. This needs to be a reusable pattern for all sorts of abilities. Needs to include planning / prep for ability animations. Mob animations. And then sprite generation after making the code changes above from the repo root. This has gotten to be a bit more of a bit longer of a document than it was originally, which is probably good because I was looking through this at first and I'm like, man, there's not really much happening in here. We're just going to be changing some files, but no, that's not. Or changing some like configuration files, and I didn't want that. We needed to make sure that we're actually preparing for our future changes as well. Character Atlas section completely replaced with subsections. Mob type row documented as required render or refactor returns. Both Atlas handled. Effects are cleaned up. Blood Siphon gets frame 7. Since it's AoE with visible cast, not just positional push. Expands. I added notes to add around the effects. Make sure they align with the above mentioned parts about blood, siphon. I saw something about not needing sprites. The update sounds like are longs. The goal result is to have, or is to be prepared for all animation, or for all abilities to be able to be animated and implemented as we move, as the project moves forward, adds more mobs / sprites. Finally added the Russia, Netherlands, Australia, and Belgium region to your game. The maps for them, at least. Very nice. Very nice. So how many areas are you, or how many different maps are you up to now for it? And are you going for like all the countries? Is this all the countries you plan to add now, or? The two issues, there's a duplicate tab. The newer frames table appears twice, and the user's notes got cut off mid-sentence. The underlying design issue is the current effect system is column-based, but AoE abilities like Blood Siphon need multi-frame animation, which requires a different Atlas layout. Let me core design change effects was one row where sprite. Here's what changed and why the core. 60 regions is a lot. So how many are you at now? Do you have all 60 now? That sounds fun. Here's what changed and why. The core design change was one row where sprite frame picked a static column and works for projectiles, show one image while traveling, but completely breaks for AoE abilities. Blood Siphon needs to visibly animate at the cast location, and the section now documents the restructure to row per effect types. Columns as animation frames, which is the pattern that scales to all future abilities. The reusable placeholder patterns is now explicit frame 0 equals small dot, frame 1 to 2 expand to radius, frame 3 fade. Atlas generates this automatically for any AoE row. Authored art slots in later without changes rendered to. Render paths are now documented. Traveling projectile moves along a velocity vector and cast origin effect. Wolf Pounce and Claw Slash both use the cast origin path. Even though they now have no projectile, they still get visible cast feedback. Blood Siphon is now unambiguous. Will this plan also support projectiles which have animations added to them too? hoping this is going to be the last little iteration on this. Not even half? Well, it sounds like you're making good progress on them, so that's always good news, right? Bit of progress here and there, a little bit every day, and you end up with more than you expected in the meantime. By the way, did you see I got some new sprites for everything now? A little bit different herbs, some actual inventory sprites. We've got trees. Where's a tree? Gotta find one. Also, a lot more skills now. I have the full list of 10 set. Wow, list? Set? I don't know. I've got the full set of 10 skills that are going to be supported for the time being. Now supports animated projectiles. The key point that the mechanism is identical for both parts. The renderer just advances through the columns of rows over time, where that row now belongs for any. Does this also support melee ability animations? Are those accomplished via the mob sprites? Gotta make sure all of the... I could use some vials of water just in case. I've got to make sure all of the different animations are going to be covered for everything. Currently covers one of them. What's covered the impact side of a melee ability, the hit flash or slash arc that plays at the target's position. That's an effect Atlas Bro. What's not covered, the mob itself visually attacking, a wolf lunging forward, a chupacabra slashing its claws. That comes from the mob sprite having multiple animation rows, which the renderer switching rows based on the mob's current state. The current mob sprite plan has one row per mob type with 7. All treated as idle walk frames. There's no animation state machine planned yet. For Q3, the placeholder art, the second part doesn't matter much. A color square doesn't need an attack animation, but the document should note that the mob sprite are scoped to idle walk for now, and attack animation rows are deferred to when authored art arrives. Melee ability animations, 2 separate systems. Effect Atlas, the impact slash, and the mob sprite. Okay, so I'm gonna just quickly pop a new terminal here. Go add start get commit -m. Update planning for mob reworks with animations and okay, so we're gonna just quickly skim through this again, take a look for any issues, rebalance all active mobs to intended difficulty, more HP, higher ability density, and faster cooldowns. Ability config based auto attacks and XP values that produce a sensible leveling rate through playtesting. Auto attacks. Scope mob roster. Per mob changes. Ability cast rate. Projectile cast. Mob tier targets. New abilities. We've already kind of gone through those. Placeholder sprites. All sprite work in this phase uses the command gen atlas tool to generate colored placeholder PNGs that match the atlas layer or layout. That match the atlas layout the renderer expects. Authored art places them later without any code changes. Atlas split characters to mobs, NPCs. The current character PNGs conflates players, combat mobs, NPCs, and bosses 3x2 or 32 by 32. Split this out. Mob PNG scope idle walk only. Each mob gets one row of 7 frames. The renderer always reads from the single row regardless of what mob is doing. Melee ability visuals come entirely from the effect Atlas. Hit flash/arc at the target's position, not from the mob. Sprite mob animation rows a second row per mob that plays when the mob swings requires an animation state machine in the renderer and are deferred to when authored art arrives. When art is added, attack animations slot in as the additional rows per mob. The mob Atlas index table above will expand at the point without shifting other mobs. Since each mob owns a contiguous block of rows, no Atlas restructure is needed. Just add rows and update the renderer state machine itself. The player's sprite stays in the character untouched. That rename is deferred. I do really have to get player animations and sprites and stuff soon as well. Per boss Atlas files, effect Atlas files for the effects, restructured from the current 1x(n) rows layout to n rows by m columns. This change is required to support AoE and positioning effects, which need multiple frames to show, expand, pulse, fade, not just a single static image. Projectile effects still work with 1 to 2 frames. AoE effects use 3 to 4. AoE cast effects, the same new layout supports. The same row layout supports both. More columns just means more animation frames. Placeholder rows start minimal. Authored art can be added. Placeholder animation pattern. Animation pattern. For AoE cast and projectile effects, okay. Existing rows to carry forward, new rows. Update the sprite frames. Sprite generation implementation order. Okay, so this looks like we're in a good spot here for this now. Oh, and I haven't even been showing it, so whoops. Here's the document that I was just going through. All the abilities. It looks like we should be in a good spot here to start the implementation for this. So I'm going to say Q3 mob reworks document. Good for implementation now. Create a to-do plan for implementing all requirements outlined in the document. Which means I get to do a little bit of training in the meantime. Oh, also, do I have a note? So these are the things that are missing. Animations for mobs attacks. So we're missing some animation. Oh, and I'm not showing this again. Missing some animations for the mob attacks. Missing ability to place campfire. Missing resource gathering. Audit and prereqs data, Atlas renderer. Follow and implement the plan. There we go. So we're missing resource and gatherer being logged. Era to ID. Era missing to grant. ID XP from gathering mobs. Weird. What other things are we missing right now? Also, I really do think that needs to be lowered to like 2. Stats. UI. Skills is 2. The 2 by 5 instead of 1 by 10. There. Needed. I think these are all done in the UI cleanup though. These were 6. Role needs an icon as well. Anytime I run into anything that's an issue, I need to make sure that I go, oh, right. New herbs need to be processed. So I need mini map node colors fixed. Well, I need to feed the cat. I'm just using Claude. Well, yeah, just Claude. I refer to Grok for some things, but not necessarily for any of the implementations or any of the changes and stuff. Less for game dev stuff. Really, I've just been doing Claude with very targeted, that's what you can see running here. It's for very targeted changes, and the goal is to make sure that we're driving it based on plans and determining what is going to be touched at each given step. Do, 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 do. I am really wondering how, like, what I need to do for the size of these zones. If it's currently pretty good with what it's at right now, or if I should make the zones a bit bigger. Like, for the average size of zones, what should it be? Alright, where are we at anyways? Audit data, check mob config, create 10 new abilities, tune existing ability configs. Okay, so we should have the abilities in the configs now, right? I actually didn't realize I can get everything on the screen at once. So what was I going to look at? It was the mob's abilities, I think. So I'm probably going to want to lower these cooldowns by a lot, because 3 seconds is not a fast attack. But if I look at those versus the Chupacabra only has 80 MP and a regen. It's something neither tooth nor tongue. You really gotta increase these MP values. Because these mobs are really fast to kill, and if they have these long of cooldowns, they're not really going to get used very often. Boulder throw, ring shot, smash. How much mana does the orc even have? 80. 80 MP. Okay. I'm seeing some of the issues that I've been having with the mobs and why they're sort of plain and boring. So I'm just gonna add a 0 to like all of these mobs MP. Actually, I'm gonna double all of them instead, and then $160, and then what, like 20 MP regen, Force Goblin 60, and then I'm gonna do 10 MP regen, Force Lurker 80, and also 10 MP regen. So I'm doing 5x on the MP regen, and I'm doing 2x on the MP. You're 20, 15, 10. These really should just be integers though. Orc. Really should have like way higher. But I'm gonna do 10 and 10. I really need to add the point levels. I don't know. But I'm gonna add them anyways just to be consistent with what was already there. Two point oh. Goblins are shit, they don't get stats. These numbers are going to have to get way buffed as soon as we're not just doing the super simple playtesting. Doesn't this mean that these auto attacks are going to do 0 damage? Changing that to 5. Changing that to 3. Change it to 1. Actually, yeah, that's pretty. Goblin Rock Throw. Goblin Toss. I want to be 5. Oh, why are they so low? All the damage numbers are all so ridiculously low. Anyways, let's continue to get these updated. Not the force. Don't update the force to be lower. Heck, this should be like 80 force. 50 force. Force? Like, I'm just 10xing the orc damage. This is ridiculous. Shade Soul Bolt. projectiles. Actually, let's make this one 3 and this one 1.5. Wolf lunge. Like, I could make these way, way lower again as well if wanted. Lunge and pounce are both gonna have like a. Actually, let's do a 1.5 second pounce and a 3 second lunge. So now we're gonna go through and we're gonna actually change these things to have damage, like Goblin Rock Throw. Five damage. Goblin Toss. 7 damage. Chupacabra Blood Siphon. 150 damage. Claw Slash. 250 damage. Tongue Spike. 100 damage right now. Like, these things need to have, like, actual force numbers. Not just be the most pathetic, Force Wolf Pounce was supposed to be, like, 1.0. Force 15. Force Wolf Pounce. Wolf Lunge, Force Wolf Pounce. Goblin Rock Throw, Goblin Toss we've already done, Lurker, Barb, Volley. $25, Lurker Claw. How many projectiles is this one? No, this is physical, so 40. Orc Folder, we've already updated. Orc Ring Shot, we've updated. Curious how this is going to look. Orc Smash. Or Shade Soul Burst. Shade Void Burst is Wolf Lunge 15 pounce. Okay. Things have damage now. Kind of. Now, what do we have for auto attacks? $35 range, cooled down. Auto attack needs to be fast. Like it Force Goblin, auto attack projectile, force. I'm pretty sure how the damage with force works is force goes force minus defense though. So really these things aren't even going to do damage and I'm still going to need to really crank the numbers. but this is for testing purposes at the moment. Force range cooldown. 1.2. Forest lurker. 5.0 range cooldown. 1.0. It's a projectile, right? Yeah, so we can dodge that. Forest wolf. 2.0 range cooldown. 1.5. In that case, I'm going to up it to 3.0. Wolf can have a... Actually, let's do 2 attacks per second. Clean build, all tasks are done. Here's what landed. Atlas generated restructure, affects characters, mobs, NPCs. Okay, so I'm going to finish going through these, and then I'm going to take a look at all these other locations. So Force Wolf, Force Range, cooldown. Client Mob Atlas. Renderer. NPC. Mob type row replaced with NPC row. Ability config. The remaining item is task 14 playtest, which requires game running. The cast origins AoE effects render path is deferred. It needs wire protocol additions. Orc 20 force range 2 cooldown 1.5. Standard formula at defense equals 100. Player takes 50% of force at defense equals 200. 33% at defense equals 0 full force. Source bypass resistant entirely and use raw force. Okay. Wolf. .0, and then we'll do Forest Wolf was actually 2. Wolves have to attack fast. If a hit was going to be reduced 1.5 damage, does the player take 1 damage? 2. Okay. Which means a lot of these I'm going to want to add a 0.5 on. Okay, now what I was going to check was going to be the assets generated. I'm going to need this one HP. I'm going to need this one here. Actually, what I'm going to do is take a look at characters, move it to filler. Then effects, move it to filler. Mobs doesn't have one, NPCs doesn't have one. So then characters, effects, mobs, NPCs, copy those, drop them in sprites. So we have all of these now, which means the next thing to do is going to be to restart everything and to test this out. So I am going to reboot the server and reboot the game. And we'll see how this actually works, or how this looks. We got some combat testing to do now. So, let's actually, first things first, I'm going to bank, drop a bunch of stuff in the bank, and I'm going to grab a bunch of HP salves. So this is a forest goblin. I'm trying to see if it auto attacks me at all. Probably going to die a fair bit while testing these things out, but so why is the forest goblin firing two things at once as well? Let's take a look at the settings. Data, mobs, forest goblin has goblin toss, goblin rock throw, and auto attack. Abilities, NPC, goblin rock, goblin throw rock has two. Okay, so it has two abilities. Really, it should just have one. Okay, anyways, that won't actually matter too much on that one. Or I had to respond to something. Also, I like the goblins are dark purple now, or at least the forest goblins are. So do they auto attack me at all? They do still hit with something. I don't see a flash at all for it. Okay, so there's the wolf. And wolf pounce is not moving the wolf to me at all. Should jump on top of the player. So the good thing about testing this right now as well means that also I need to make it so that the NPCs have a animation, or not an animation, like they show numbers when they hit the player. I don't know why I'm bothering to pick up the drops right now. At least the mobs are kind of doing damage now. That's decent. So I've seen the 3. I know it should have a 5 shot as well, right? Oh well. That one ran out of mana. Let's check this Forest Lurker. 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3. Ooh, he smacked me. So those are Lurker, Forest Lurker, which has Lurker Claw and Barb Volley. Claw is physical, Barb Volley is projectile. Okay, so I have been seeing all of the abilities that they can use. I'm not sure how I feel about going and trying to fight the boss now as well. I should be able to fight it, but it should be really strong compared to before. I hope. Ooh. Or ring shot. Kinda want to have these. Yeah, there we go. Red code 0 is never forwarded to the wired payload. Wolf Pounce not moving only checks the radius hits and deals damage to the current mob position. It never leaves the mob, or never moves the mob. The wolf stands still and does an invisible AoE. Wolf Pounce needs to teleport target. I don't know about teleport, but... Alright, let's see the shades. Ooh, that was painful. Well, stuff is doing damage. Things are still on the easy mode for testing purposes, but at least they're kind of doing something. Oh my gosh, I'm not even showing it. Oh, this is terrible. I'm gonna have to go back and show everything. All right, well, let's look at the shades. 3, or that was the 5. 3. Okay, right now I can literally just run around them. Why does it have an exclamation mark? I don't remember. Oh, right, it's a material? But it didn't go in the material slot. Alright, let's go probably die to a Chupacabra, but let's go see what they look like for their attack patterns. Oh, ouch. Ooh, okay. Bit of danger there, that's not bad. All right, so those have been updated. I'm going to close this now, both ends, restart the server. Also, did I gain any bravery XP? No, I didn't. You know, the best thing I might actually be able to do here is use a different character or a different account. So I'm going to wait for this to pop up on the screen again. All right, we're going to do a testing account. Now, the difficult part of here is going to be that I'm not going to have any healing salves. I'm not going to have any... well, unless I grind for some. I'm not going to have any MP potions. So, let's see how things go. We're going to try to level up a little bit on these goblins as we go. They are able to do damage now. You'll see that the goblins actually have an ability that they cast more often than once in a blue moon now. See? Now we're gonna move on to the mid forest where mobs are a lot stronger. Okay, so from the goblins, we are going to go up here to the wolf. Is definitely a lot stronger. Oh, yeah, those blinks are very strong. The wolf shouldn't blink, it needs to dash like the player's roll. Okay, that is terrifying though. That is probably the hardest mob in here. So I'm gonna be avoiding it. Get all the fake mon and wolf is scary. Wolf is scary. Got all the fake mon forms made for the game with generate sprites. Gonna take a long time longer for the maps. Oh, that sounds like a lot of sprites. Do you know the total count of sprites that you're up to then? Yeah, a blinking wolf is terrifying. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it for an early game mob. Especially considering how much damage it was doing. Oh my, that's terrifying. Teleport still needs to be supported, just not on this, on the wolf. Make sure that's still a thing. Make sure that's still a thing in code. I'm going to avoid these wolves while they have the teleport. Here's the forest lurker. It's much less scary. Well, I got one herb. I could grind out a couple more to get a healing potion for the boss at least. We also don't want to go in without a fresh level, because this is definitely going to be a lot stronger. Okay, there we go. 1 regional form line, 3 Grease fake mons, and 3 Africa fake line mons. Cool. So is it just 1 sprite for each of them? Okay, we're in the boss fight. Oh, that hurt. Well, this definitely feels a lot more like a boss fight now. Okay, there we go. We killed the boss. We're going to upgrade our hatchet. This is our testing account. Or a blank test account. Oh, that was dangerous. Alright, do I not have mobs over here? There they are. I should probably add or probably give more range and projectile speed to some of these things as well. But I honestly have a very bad grasp on what the actual difficulty of these should be or is currently, because I'm very used to playing against these kind of projectile attacks from Realm of the Mad God. So these are all very plain in my eyes. Okay, I've managed to get a healing salve. We can go take a look at the shades now. And then probably go die to the Chupacabra. I don't know if slow-moving attacks is good or not. Slow-moving attacks, in theory, should be a lot easier to reflect. I probably need to do a little bit of fixing for the reflected as well, because I don't think stuff's getting reflected as nicely as it should be. And currently, like, melee is not able to reflect stuff, even though they should be able to. Oh, hey, there's an actual error message. I hadn't tried to... Well, I guess my main one that I'm using is higher level. Okay, I'm not going over towards the Chupacabras without having a fresh level here either. There we go. So, let's go get... Oh my... That was a lot of Chupacabras. I was not expecting that. Maybe I do need to make it so that roll can be used in any direction, because... Oh, it already can be. It shouldn't be, but... Oh, we got our level reset as well. They'll have to avoid the wolves because those are terrifying. So the good thing is, if we got our level reset, that means the arrow reset occurred, which means that the Chupacabras should have less attack range. And we can still get some XP on the way there. No, didn't get a reflect. Not getting a reflect. All right, we're going to have to look into how that's working. Because one of those projectiles should be... Oh, wait, no, it's a magic and a ranged projectile. So it is acting properly, because the magic or the ranged projectile should pierce through the magic projectile. Oh. Well, we're getting to see the two abilities that the Chupacabras have, so that's a good sign. Anyways, I'm gonna restart this now. so we can test out the wolf again. Gonna log into the one that actually has levels. Alright, so wolf should now have a dash instead. Still very dangerous of a creature. We'll probably use them more sparingly, but I do like that as just a dangerous creature. That's what a melee creature in this should feel like, I think. I think the wolf is going to be like our archetypal melee creature for, oh shit, it's trying to get on you. We haven't... I think the Chupacabra is probably going to be our archetypal, like, higher level, ranged kind of creature. Where it's, first off, its AoE is way too huge, but it's very rapidly casting them. These shades can probably be buffed a fair bit, and then the orc is going to have to be somewhere in between. He should be like slow, heavy hitting. The orc, basically, bosses should have a chance, or bosses should be close to one-shotting the player. If you get hit by things. I think that's how I want the bosses to work. The bosses should be, hey, I'm gonna avoid the shots, reflect damage back to the boss to get massive damage, and that's how bosses should go. I mean, we were just going to test the wolves, but I do want to go back to the Chupacabras because they're so much fun. Not sure how much I lost. So, on bosses, basically, the cooldowns and range, like the ranges of their abilities are probably going to be like super far. I do really like the wolf as a mob. Let's fight a wolf again. Oh. Okay, need to make sure that they can't dash while rooted. That needs to be the counter for it. All right, here we go again into the Chupacabra's lair. We are not going to have a fun time because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of Chupacabras in there this time. Hey, I wonder what's in this cave. Oh. Let's see if we can beat one while we're down here. We did kill one. We weren't able to pick up the gold, but we did get the chupacabra. So, that being said, I think that's where I'm going to end it today. I'm super happy with that. That is so cool. We have some mobs that actually have mechanics and do stuff now, instead of just kind of let you wail on them. And the chupacabras are kind of not fightable anymore, really. Like, you can kind of fight them, but they are really scary now. So that's really cool. I'm really happy with the progress we made on this, and just sort of how the mobs are working now. Things do have animations as well. Well, the ability to have animations. So, anyways, that's going to be it for me. If anyone's been lurking around and is interested in seeing how the game progresses, feel free to drop a follow. Everyone who's shown up, thank you so much. It's great chatting with people. It's great. I can't speak. It's great chatting with people when people are around. So,